What if animals are not simply reacting to the world, but experiencing it? For centuries, humans have confidently assumed that consciousness belongs to us alone. Animals were seen as little more than instinct-driven machines, their actions devoid of any real awareness or inner life. But what if we were wrong? What if the vibrant tapestry of the animal kingdom is woven with threads of genuine feeling and subjective experience? Modern science is now seriously challenging that long-held, human-centric assumption, forcing us to reconsider one of the most fundamental questions of all. What does it truly mean to be conscious? Before we can even begin to ask whether animals think like us, we need to get on the same page about what scientists actually mean by consciousness. In a scientific context, consciousness isn't about language, philosophy, or the ability to ponder your own existence. It's something much more fundamental. It refers to the raw ability to have subjective experiences, to feel pain when you're injured, pleasure from a good meal, fear in the face of danger, or curiosity about something new. It's about perceiving the world from a unique, internal point of view. It's what it's like to be a bat, a delphine, or an octopus. For a long time, one of the biggest obstacles in this field has been something called anthropomorphism. That's the tendency to project our own human emotions and intentions onto animals. You see a dog wagging its tail and you think, he's happy. While that might be true, this kind of projection can seriously mislead scientific research. But here's the twist. The opposite approach, denying any kind of animal experience simply because it doesn't look or sound human, has proven to be just as flawed. This deep, tricky tension is what philosophers and scientists call the hard problem of consciousness. We can't climb inside another being's mind and directly measure its experience. It's impossible. All we can do is study the indicators, the clues, the signs of an inner world. So instead of getting stuck on the question, do animals think like humans? Modern science is asking a much smarter, more practical question. What are the measurable signs of awareness that we can observe across different species? This simple shift in perspective has been a game changer. It has unlocked a whole new scientific approach, one that's grounded in hard data from neuroscience, behavioral studies, and evolutionary biology. We're moving away from old assumptions and into a new era of discovery. Now that we've laid the groundwork, in our next chapter, we're going to move beyond definitions and beliefs. We look directly inside the brains of animals, where stunning discoveries are completely reshaping our understanding of what consciousness might look like without the filter of a human mind. The answers are not what you expect. Click here to watch the next chapter. Neurological Frontiers. Brains, not just behavior. For centuries, we judged animal minds solely by what we could see them do. Their actions were the only window we had. But what if we could peek inside? Today, we can. Scientists are looking directly into the brains of other species, and what they're discovering is completely rewriting the book on animal consciousness. Advances in neuroscience have given us incredible tools. We're talking about things like functional MRI, neuromapping, and electrophysiology, once reserved only for humans. Take dogs, for example. Researchers have trained them to lie perfectly still inside loud MRI scanners. When these dogs hear their owner's voice or smell a familiar scent, their brains light up in the same emotional centers as ours. It's not just a wagging tail anymore. It's a visible, neurological response to love and connection. Then you have the octopus, a creature that seems almost alien. Its nervous system is completely different from ours. More than half of its neurons are in its arms, not its head. This means each arm can taste, touch, and even make decisions on its own. This raises a mind-bending question. Can consciousness exist without a single, centralized brain? Can an animal be a collection of minds? And it's not just the big, complex animals. Even insects are forcing us to reconsider everything. We used to think of them as tiny, pre-programmed robots. But studies on fruit flies, bees, and ants show sophisticated learning, memory, and flexible decision-making. Researchers have found that their tiny brains process something very similar to pain, not just a simple reflex to being hurt. Perhaps the most groundbreaking discovery is that an animal doesn't need a human-like brain to be aware. For years, we believed the neocortex was the seat of higher thought, but birds, with their vastly different brain structures, show incredible problem-solving skills. Evolution, it seems, has found multiple paths to consciousness. There isn't just one blueprint for being aware. But looking at brain scans alone doesn't give us the whole picture. How do these internal states translate into real-world behavior? In our next chapter, we'll explore what happens when animals are faced with mirrors, tools, and complex social problems. Their actions are challenging our very definition of intelligence. Thanks for watching, and be sure to check out the next chapter. Behavioral Breakthroughs, Evidence from Action. If animals lack consciousness, why do so many of them behave as if they understand themselves and others? This question has puzzled scientists and philosophers for centuries. For a long time, the prevailing view was that animals are mere biological machines, reacting to stimuli without any internal thought or feeling. But the more we study them, the more this idea crumbles. We're finding compelling evidence of complex behaviors that hint at something much deeper. Let's dive into some of the behavioral breakthroughs that are reshaping our understanding of the animal kingdom. One of the most famous experiments designed to probe animal self-awareness is the mirror test. The setup is simple. An animal is discreetly marked with a spot of paint or a sticker on a part of its body it can't see directly, like its forehead. Then, it's placed in front of a mirror. If the animal sees its reflection, recognizes it as itself, and then touches or investigates the mark on its own body, it's considered to have passed the test. Great apes like chimpanzees and orangutans were some of the first to pass. Later, bottlenose, dolphins, Asian elephants, and even Eurasian magpies have shown they can recognize themselves in a mirror. It's a fascinating window into the minds of other species. Seeing a chimp look in the mirror and then immediately touch a red dot painted above its eyebrow is a powerful moment. It forces us to ask, what's going on in that head? Is it just a learned response? Or is there a genuine aha, that's me moment happening? But as powerful as the mirror test is, many scientists now argue it's too limited. Think about it. The test is heavily biased towards animals that rely on vision as their primary sense, just like us humans. What about an animal that navigates its world through smell, like a dog, or through echolocation, like a bat? A mirror is pretty useless to them. The test also rewards a specific type of curiosity, a physical investigation of the mark. But what if an animal notices the mark, understands it's on its own body, but simply doesn't care enough to touch it? Does that mean it lacks self-awareness? Probably not. The mirror test is a good starting point, but it's just one piece of a much larger puzzle. Relying on it alone would be like trying to understand human intelligence by only using a single type of IQ test. It gives us some information, but it misses the bigger picture. So, scientists are now looking beyond mirrors and developing more creative ways to explore animal minds, and the results are staggering. Take tool use, for example. We once thought this was a uniquely human skill, but not anymore. New Caledonian crows are masters of engineering. In lab experiments, they have shown the ability to bend a straight piece of wire into a hook to fish a tiny bucket of food out of a tube. This isn't just instinct. It's genuine problem solving. They see a problem, visualize a solution, and then create a tool to make it happen. They can even solve multi-step problems using one tool to get another tool, which they then use to get the food. Cooperation is another key area. In Laguna, Brazil, patelnos dolphins have formed an incredible partnership with local fishermen. The dolphins herd schools of mullet towards the shore where the fishermen wait with their nets. Then, with a specific head slap or tail flick, the dolphins signal the exact moment for the fishermen to cast their nets. Both parties benefit. The fishermen get a huge catch, and the dolphins get to feast on the disoriented fish that escape the nets. This isn't just two species happening to be in the same place at the same time. It's a complex, coordinated, and learned tradition passed down through generations of both dolphins and humans. It requires communication, timing, and trust. And what about empathy? Can animals feel for one another? Research on rats suggests they might. In one famous study, a rat was placed in an enclosure with a trapped cage mate in a small, transparent tube. The free rat could hear and see its distressed companion. The rat quickly learned how to open the door to free its friend. Here's the really amazing part. Even when given the choice between freeing their friend or getting a tasty chocolate treat, the rats would often choose to help their friend first. Some would even save a piece of the chocolate to share with their rescued pal. This kind of altruistic behavior is hard to explain as a simple, pre-programmed instinct. It points towards a genuine emotional response to the distress of another. We are also getting better at measuring the emotional lives of animals. It's not just about watching their behavior. We can now look at their physiology. When a member of an elephant herd dies, the other elephants exhibit behaviors that look a lot like grieving. They may stand guard over the body, touch it gently with their trunks, and show signs of depression for days or even weeks. And it's not just in our head. Physiological measurements confirm this. We can measure stress hormones like cortisol in their blood. We can use thermal imaging to see changes in body temperature linked to emotional states. We can track heart rates. These objective markers show that the social bonds in animal groups are real and powerful, and their loss has a profound, measurable impact. These examples of tool use, cooperation, empathy, and grief are not just isolated party tricks. They demonstrate flexibility. The animals aren't just repeating a single action over and over. They adapt their behavior to new situations. Crows will invent new tools for new problems. Dolphins adjust their fishing signals based on the water conditions. This context-dependent behavior strongly suggests that there is some kind of internal processing happening. It's not just a simple stimulus and response loop. They are thinking, planning, and feeling. Their actions are the visible evidence of a rich inner world. But here's the crucial takeaway. Animal consciousness isn't one single thing. It's not a switch that's either on or off. It's a spectrum, a vast and varied landscape. The consciousness of a dolphin, shaped by a life in the water, is going to be fundamentally different from the consciousness of a crow, shaped by a life in the air. Different species experience the world in radically different ways, through different senses and different minds. Their evolutionary paths have sculpted their consciousness into unique forms. In our next video, we're going to dive into this very idea. We'll challenge our human-centric assumptions and explore what consciousness might look like from the perspective of entirely different species. We often wonder if animals think like us, if they feel the same things we do. But what if that's the wrong question entirely? What if animal consciousness doesn't resemble ours at all? What if, to be intelligent and aware, it never needed to? Let's start with one of the most baffling creatures on Earth, the octopus. These animals live short, solitary lives. They receive no training from their parents. Yet, somehow, they solve complex puzzles, mastermind daring escapes from their tanks, and even use tools, like coconut shells, for shelter. How? Their nervous system is completely different from ours. Most of their neurons aren't in their brain, but in their arms. It's a decentralized intelligence. Imagine thinking with your limbs. Their experience of the world, their very sense of self, might be so profoundly alien that we can barely begin to comprehend it. They challenge our entire definition of a mind. Now, let's consider a completely different model of consciousness. The elephant. Elephants are famous for their incredible long-term memory. They can recognize other elephants and humans they haven't seen for decades. But it goes deeper than just memory. They pass down knowledge through generations. Matriarchs teach younger elephants crucial survival information, like where to find water during a drought or how to interact with other elephant families. Some researchers don't just call this learning, they call it animal culture. It's a social intelligence built on tradition and shared experience, passed down through time. Whales and dolphins take this concept of animal culture even further. Different pods of orcas have unique hunting strategies, so specialized that they're passed from mother to calf like a family trade. Humpback whales sing complex, evolving songs that spread across entire oceans, with trends changing from one year to the next. They form intricate social alliances and have communication patterns specific to their region, much like human dialects. This isn't just instinct, it's learned, shared behavior. The octopus, the elephant, the Welsh one shows us that there isn't one single way to be conscious. Consciousness isn't a ladder with humans at the top. It's more like a branching tree, with each species developing a unique form of awareness, perfectly suited to its environment, its social structure, and its evolutionary journey. If animals experience the world in these rich, complex, and meaningful ways, then the question is no longer whether they are conscious. It becomes something far more difficult. What does this mean for us? What are our responsibilities to these other minds we share the planet with? In our next video, we'll explore exactly that. Join us as we dive into the future of animal minds and its profound ethical implications. Did you know that as science reveals more and more about animal consciousness, it's raising some huge questions that science alone can't answer? It's a fascinating frontier that forces us to rethink our entire relationship with the animal kingdom. Legal systems around the world are actually starting to respond to these groundbreaking discoveries. For example, some countries now officially recognize certain animals as sentient beings, not just as property. This is a massive shift. It means they are acknowledged as having feelings and experiences. Think about what that implies. We're seeing welfare laws slowly but surely begin to reflect scientific findings about what causes animals pain, stress, and what their complex social needs truly are. This isn't just about keeping them alive. It's about allowing them to thrive. And it goes beyond just individual animals. In the world of conservation, acknowledging that animals have minds completely changes the game. It strengthens the arguments for protecting their habitats. Because we're realizing that environmental destruction isn't just a biological tragedy. When we destroy a forest or a reef, we're not just wiping out species. We're destroying entire cultures, social systems, and the collective memories of generations of intelligent beings. It's the loss of worlds we are only just beginning to understand. Perhaps the most profound shift, though, is a philosophical one. For centuries, humans have often seen themselves as completely separate from and superior to the rest of the animal world. But this new understanding places us on the continuum of consciousness. We're not the only ones who think, feel, and experience the world. Instead, we appear as just one branch among many, many others that are capable of rich, subjective experience. Now, this doesn't diminish humanity at all. In fact, it reframes it in a much more connected and beautiful way. Ultimately, understanding animal consciousness doesn't give us all the final, neat answers. What it does give us is a profound sense of responsibility. A responsibility to act with more compassion, more consideration, and more wisdom. And the most exciting part, the science is still unfolding, revealing more incredible truths every single day. What we learn next could change everything all over again. Thanks for watching. If you found this topic as thought-provoking as I do, consider subscribing for more deep dives into the world around us. See you next time.